This is the state I was in. 27 years on cocaine, crack, 4 years living in a trap house. Looking at this picture, I ended up in a condition, but I was not always like this. I came from a 200-year-old family. I had a structured family. I had an education. I started working, then I worked for the second biggest advertising agency in the world and started to make money. I then began making pictures and frames for pictures and mirrors. I had sales representatives all over the country. The business took off. I opened a warehouse, and at one point, I had 23 employees. I bought some Brevetti Italian machinery. Money started to come in, and I then stopped looking after myself. There was alcohol, drugs, women. My downfall began as I started to lose money and got into debts with the banks. And I started to sell my assets. Besides my addiction, I was also preoccupied with losing all appearances. I didn't want to lose appearances. I wanted people to continue to see me as the all-powerful man. I would tell people, you don't need to talk to God. Talk to me, and I will solve your problem. I was prepotent and arrogant until I joined the two witchcraft sects. For a period of time, things seemed to improve. However, this was when the real disgrace of my life began. This disgrace began because I no longer had money, but I wanted to keep using drugs. Therefore, I spent all I had and then ended up on the streets. I went from the most expensive square meter in the north of Sao Paulo to a cardboard on the streets in one of the poorest neighborhoods. Well, things were already so messy, so messed up, that all I needed was for me to end up in a trap house. I arrived there feeling a little shy, because life in that place is something supernatural, surreal. There is so much filth, so much prostitution. A person who arrives there weighing, say, 70 kilos will lose about 10 kilos in a week until they become a skeleton. I would start taking crack very early in the morning. I would wake up, take crack, but when it finished and there was no more alcohol, crack or cocaine, then came the memories. I would then remember that I had a son, a wife, a house, that I had love, affection and care, and that I had exchanged all that for drugs. There was a night when I was sleeping. A person came and urinated on me, saying, "You are rubbish." These kinds of things happened. So we would go to sleep afraid to receive a blow to the head or to be set on fire. I lived in those conditions, with no teeth, filthy, with no spare clothes, feeling sick, so I wanted to die. I wanted to die. I said to myself, I need to do something. I started walking towards the Brás neighborhood. As I walked, I carried a black bag, as always, collecting cans. I then saw Solomon's temple. I stopped in front of it, thinking, what a nice place. How beautiful. Would I be allowed to enter and see the place? Might it be possible to get inside? Then, some people who were standing in front invited me to come inside. Can I come like this? I am not dressed properly. I'm all dirty. No, you can come like this. I tried to not sit next to anyone as I was ashamed of my state. Can you imagine? Missing teeth, dirty, looking like a thief, like a criminal. Inside, I saw the Ark of the Covenant and everything that Solomon's temple is. So I said, Lord. I then knelt down and asked, Lord, help me. I want to die. I want to die without crack, without drugs. I wanted to die. But He is life. He is love. Instead of these feelings, this sadness, I felt a strength within me. Something was changing in that moment before the altar. A revolt started to grow because all of that was not me. I used to have stability. Why had I become like that? I started to get revolted. Then, I had an idea to seek help in a shelter so that I could have somewhere to stay, to have a shower, and find some clothes. I wanted to return, but not like that, carrying that black bag. Something was already changing within me. In a meeting with Bishop Macedo, he said, "Who here does not possess a Bible and does not have the means to buy one? Come here to the front." I was one of the first to go before the altar. A businessman stood up and donated 100 Bibles. I thought, wow, this is really nice. He has money and has bought Bibles. I had money and prostituted myself to buy drugs and alcohol. One day, I shall buy 10 times more than he has bought here. He donated the Bibles, so I took mine. However, the joy I felt was not only for getting the Bible, but of wanting to start looking at it. I ate that Bible. I read it all. As I absorbed the word, the bad desires were leaving me. I had already left drugs, alcohol, prostitution, the bad habits. I was already learning the word, but the Holy Spirit was still missing. I wanted Him. Then came the campaign. As I watched those testimonies on the big screen, I said to myself, this is it. I need the Holy Spirit in my life. I need Him. I needed to do something because I had given my all on the streets to drugs, alcohol, and prostitution. So I had to do something to call the Lord's attention. There came the greatest moment, the moment of the altar, of total surrender, to finalize all that I had placed before the Lord. All that was missing was the Holy Spirit. I went towards the stairs, placed my foot, and climbed the first step, crossed underneath the Ark of the Covenant, which had first impacted me as the first thing I saw when I entered the temple for the first time. I said, "My Lord, if having done all these things here today, I still do not leave here today with the Holy Spirit of God, my Father, so all of this will count for nothing. This sacrifice would have been for nothing." In that moment, that joy, that assurance that I was being blessed with the Holy Spirit of God came. The old man had already died in the water, but in that moment, I received instruction. I had someone who would be with me all the time. Just as I was revolted to have the Holy Spirit of God, I was also revolted to change my condition. What happened? I left the shelter, rented a place to live, found a job, started to eat better, regained the love of my son, regained the trust of those who hurt me, who disdained me. And today, they see me as an example. Today, I am part of the evangelism group. Today, I evangelize in that same place, the same shelter where I used to live, for those who are there, suffering and without hope. From being homeless, I started to sell sweets. Today, I work at the Federal University. Look at me now, at the size of the miracle that the Holy Spirit of God has made. He took in a homeless person from the streets who was completely destroyed, all alone, hopeless, who asked to die, so that today can save souls for the Lord Jesus. I want to express my gratitude, first to God. I am also grateful for that day when Bishop Macedo asked, who could donate a Bible. It was the best present I have ever received. It is a manual. It is God speaking to us. It is where all the transformation, all the change began. I also want to thank that unknown businessman, the businessman who donated those 100 Bibles. I want you to know that you helped. You helped a lot in my recovery. This word saved my soul.